Welcome back, everyone. Friar Tuck here. This is my epoch, and today what I'm going to be talking about is 7 crazy shelter rules. Okay, so in my travels over the last year and a half or so, and some of the various shelters or food lines that I have gone to, I have encountered some strange rules, and so I'm sharing 7 of them that I thought were just some of the craziest rules that I ever came across. The first one was that you had to leave your bag in the outside common area. So I was in Tallahassee, and when you went into the shelter, you had to, if you had a sleeping bag or anything else like that, you had to leave your bag on the outside. And they had this bin that was a catch-all, and you had to throw your bag in there and hope somebody didn't rip your bag off in the morning. Well, I ended up having one of my saddlebags stolen, and I think it was a staff member that was trying to steal the damn thing, because I found it in a staff member's office when I ended up finding it. But it kind of showed me that they're trying to help you lose all of your gear, and so yeah, you weren't allowed to bring your gear in, especially if you had a sleeping bag or anything else like that. The second one is no sleeping bags, and this no sleeping bags thing has been something that is making its way across the whole United States, not just certain areas like Tallahassee. But a lot of the reason why they're saying no sleeping bags or no camping equipment is because of bugs and bed bugs, because some people just aren't clean. Plus, with these migrants coming across the border, these bed bugs are actually coming up with them, and so they're infesting cities with bed bugs. I mean, that's why San Francisco has a bed bug issue, and so they won't let you bring your sleeping bag in without it, or if you do it, it has to go through heat treatment. So if you have stuff that can't be heated up to a certain level, like a sleeping bag, you should not heat it up to, I think it's like 275 degrees. Yeah, it's going to kill the bed bug, but it's also going to fry the stuffing that you have on your sleeping bag. So you can't bring in any personal items like that in some of these shelters. So that's number 2. Number 3 is having heat treatment. Okay, so they kind of keep going in order, and so on and so forth. But you have some of these shelters are requiring, before you bring anything in, any outside item in, especially if it's clothing, that it has to, what they'll do is they'll hold on to it for 24 hours. They'll put it through a heat treatment, which is, like I said, like 275 degrees. And if you have anything that is, delicate synthetic stuff, like hiking gear or anything else like that, you may end up getting it ruined. And plus, with them not allowing you to have sleeping bags or any other camping items in there with you, it's something that just kind of, it becomes a nuisance. And a lot more of these shelters that are having these issues with either bed bugs or with just the uncleanliness of the homeless population, they're going to be more strict on that. Some places even require that if you're going to stay in, that you are going to that you have to take a shower. Number 4 is a weapons policy. Now, a lot of shelters, especially the barriered shelters, have this where they will go through your bag, inch by inch, and everything you have. They will check it against their weapons policy. And a lot of it's almost like prison rules. You guys have heard me talk about this in some places, where they have you do this. And like my nail clippers, they're a weapon. My scissors, they're a weapon. My tent stake is a weapon. It's like they're looking for anything that they can consider a weapon, because they say that it's because of the dangers that are going on inside of the shelters, but it has nothing to do with that. It has to do everything with them kind of keeping you conditioned to stay within the system. And it's because most of the people that are going into these shelters are just getting out of jail, and because it's part of their release is that they go to a homeless shelter, and so therefore they're just kind of keeping them in the system and in that cycle of reminding them that not only did they just left one prison for another prison. Okay, and so the weapons policy is a big reflection of that, because of anything and everything that they can consider to be a weapon. Number 5 is is they're limiting you to the amount of bags that you can have. Some places will give you a locker, and you can fill a locker up, but you can only have one bag with you when you go in, or by your bedside, because the bed area has to be clean. They want to have clean walkways and things like that, so they don't want to have clutter, and they don't want to have people that are nesting. Now, I get it, but there are some shelters that take it to such an extreme that you're only allowed to bring in like maybe a 27-liter backpack. You can't bring in any large backpack like what I have, and they'll tell you to leave it at the front desk, or leave it in the bin out front, because they don't want your bag in there because it's too big. So they're trying to limit not only that, but they'll limit like what you can bring in, pretty much down to clothes and hygiene. Past that, we provide you everything, but what that does is that creates a dependency on the shelter, because if they strip you of your sleeping gear, and strip you down to just the bare basics and bare minimum, then that means that you're dependent on them. And if you don't show up to the shelter and do what they say and how they say it and submit to them, then you are you're up shit creek, because you had to get rid of all your sleeping gear just to be able to get into a shelter for a night. So some of these places, they will limit the amount of stuff that you can bring in, and they're pretty crazy about it too at times. Number 6, and this one was in Chattanooga. So the Chattanooga Rescue Mission, they say they have a no cell phone policy. And the reason why they say that they instituted it is because there were people that were watching porn on their phones. And so they just banned all cell phones inside the shelter. You're not allowed to use it. If they catch you with it, they will kick you out. Okay. And some places are adopting it, I'm sure. Not just this place, but they did it based upon religious grounds. And honestly, nobody wants to listen to somebody else listening to porn. That's just wrong. That's a private thing. So I agree with it, but the fact that you couldn't, it wasn't, hey, if you just got to keep the volume off, nobody can hear what it is that you're doing, and you can sit there and be on your cell phone, which allows you to like read articles or play a game in silence. Instead, they just sit there and said no cell phones whatsoever, not for any reason. And I almost got kicked out for using my cell phone when I was there, because I tried to sneak around the rule, and they're very watchful on things like that. So anyways, and number 7, and this is probably the one that infuriates me the most, is because it's a violation of what most consider your God-given rights as an American, okay, which is your right to choose religion, and your right to worship how you see fit. But some of these shelters now, and there's one in Covington, also the rescue mission in Chattanooga does this, and there's actually quite a few rescue missions that do this, where what they will say is, in order to be able to stay here, you must attend church. And so therefore they have these outside pastors come in, and they sit there and preach, and it's a bunch of gibberish most of the time. I mean, there's nothing of real substance that I've ever heard from any of these preachers that come in. They just come in and just bump their gums and never really say anything. But you're required to show up for these religious services, and let's just say you get a job, and that job requires that you that job requires that you get that you work during what would be chapel hours. Well, you have to choose between going to chapel and keeping a place, or having a job and sleeping outside, because you can't go get inside anywhere, because that's pretty much the only rescue mission that you can go to that is in any way safe or habitable in Chattanooga. And so they put you down to this, and so therefore, because they're religious zealots that force their religion onto people that may not believe in their religion. I mean, it's one thing if you left it open to hey, we have chapel services here, and getting involved in chapel services will get you access to programs, but to dictate that somebody gets a place to sleep, especially if they got a job, to be able to attend chapel, and then on Sundays you have to stand in line for a bus, and you know, they just do random things like even beds, odd beds, or they would just say first 46 people or whatever to get on the bus, and you were forced to go to Sunday church. And if you did not go on Sunday and you had to work on Sunday, well, you know, it sucked to be you. You had to find another place to sleep. And that's something that really bugs me and bothers me. And this is the last of the crazy rules. I think it's probably the craziest of them all. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. You know how to help the channel. Make sure you share the video, like, subscribe, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. If you've encountered any crazy rules on your own, I might do another follow-up video to it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.